Hello, everyone.
Hi there.
I'm Paul.
And I'm Michelle.
And you're in
The Spooky Coop.
Welcome to the Spooky Coop. Hope you're not chicken.
And we're going to start today. Paul has a story for us.
I do. I've got a good one today, Michelle. We're going to call it The Story of the Haunted Lamp.
Is it a genie lamp?
No, it's not a genie lamp. It's something like a genie lamp. It's actually an oil lamp.
Oh, so like you can't get I dream of genie out of it?
Not without introducing some form of never mind. Just
All right.
Anyway, the story of the haunted lamp comes to us from a man named Tom about a story that happened to him a couple of decades ago. And it is really amazing. Tom was 19 at the time. And he had a very good friend whom we'll call Heather. Heather was older than him. They were just friends. Anyway, one day, when Tom was over visiting and talking, she produced this ornate Indian lamp that she didn't want anymore. And she was adamant she wanted him to have it. In fact, she even said, you know, this lamp, if you take it to the museum, it's probably worth a few $1,000s. It's an authentic lamp from India.
Oh, so she didn't want...
She didn't want to go score the money. She was like, and he said, you don't want to go to the museum yourself? This is a few $1,000s. Both of us could use that money right now.
Yeah.
She was like, no, I really don't.
She doesn't want the money.
No. And so she said she didn't want to go through all that.
Wow,
so
she's a nice friend.
What a nice friend, right?
Not even want to split the money?
He offered, and she said no, apparently.
20 years ago, a couple of decades ago, that was a lot
more than it is now. A few $1,000s was a lot more than it is now, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So he takes the lamp. And, he takes it home. At the time Tom is living, he's 19, he's living with his parents. He's just finished, he's in his last year of high school.
Oh, so he's a late bloomer.
No, this is in Canada.
Oh, so yeah.
In Canada, they have they used to have grade 13.
Oh.
So you didn't finish school till you were 19.
Ah.
High school, excuse me. So Tom gets the lamp home and he makes an appointment with the Royal Ontario Museum in Toronto.
Really?
Apparently, they back then used to do this a couple of times a month or once every few months, and he caught them at a good time. He made an appointment with them, and he took the lamp in to have it assessed.
Like the Antique Roadshow, only lamps.
But by a real museum.
Wow.
And he was in for a bit of a surprise.
Why?
So,
is it a good surprise?
No, not at all. He takes the lamp in.
How did I know that? Am I psychic?
Yes, you are. When he gets the lamp in, the curator looks at it and goes, oh, this is a really charming piece. They're very common. You up until about 50 years ago, you used to be able to buy these quite easily on the streets of pretty
eBay.
Much any city in India.
Amazon.lamp.
No Amazon back then. No.
Well, there was. It was full of trees.
No.
Okay.
You are a laugh riot, my dear.
All right. I'm toning it down. Okay, all right. I'm shutting up. Tell us the story.
And Tom says, well, what do you think it's worth? And the curator said about $75. Tom was, needless to say, a bit disheartened. He asked if the museum would be interested in purchasing it. And the curator politely explained to him that, no, that's not what they did at the Royal Ontario Museum.
Yeah, they don't put $75 old Indian lamps next to Renoirs.
Yeah. So Tom left with his tail between his legs, went home and put the lamp on a shelf in his bedroom. He was living at home at the time.
Yeah, and it was a gift. So.
It was a gift, and he didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah, in case his friend came over to visit, he had to have it out. Just like when your mother-in-law gives you something, you got to put it where she's going to see it, no matter how hideous it is.
Old moose head, twisted antlers, doesn't matter. Out for display. Shortly after that, strange things begin to occur.
Wow.
And the lamp starts moving around the house on its own.
Seriously.
One morning, Tom gets up. The lamp is there on the shelf in his bedroom. His father's gone to work. His mother's doing housework around the house. And around noontime, he's in his room and notices the lamp is not there. He goes out to the living room where his mother is, sees the lamp over the fireplace, looks at his mother and says, "Why did you bring that out here?" And she looks and goes, "I didn't put that there. I thought you put it there." Tom
creepy
sort of lets it go. He thinks maybe she was cleaning so fast she was moving things around and forgot. So he takes it and puts it back in his room. A few days later, it's gone again.
Wow.
This time it appears in the kitchen.
Maybe it was hungry.
Maybe it was hungry, out looking for a snack. But there's no blood to be found anywhere.
Ooh.
Or oil, for that matter.
Or oil.
Just cooking oil. He puts the lamp back in his bedroom.
Uh-huh.
Then the really strange things start to happen.
That wasn't strange enough.
Oh, no, it's just beginning. Then the phone calls begin.
Oh, boy.
And not the type of calls you would think. A few days later, Tom's mother comes running into his bedroom, knocks on the door, bum, 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 knock, 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 Tom. Tom looks up. His mother goes, "You're here." And he said, "Yeah, you know I'm here." She said, "Yes, I do. But I just spoke to you on the phone in the kitchen." And Tom was, "What?" And his mother said, "I was just speaking to you on the phone in the kitchen. But obviously it wasn't you." She said, "I picked up the phone and it was your voice. And you said to me," and it was odd, she said to him, "You said in a deadpan voice, 'Hi, Mom, I'm not here.'" And then you hung up.
Really flat,
deadpan.
Yeah, wow.
And of course, mother, her motherly instinct just went pootum, and she was right to his room. Sometime after that, not long at all, maybe a few more days, Tom's girlfriend, Nancy, she calls his house. He's in the backyard. His mother calls out to him that he has a phone call. He runs upstairs, and his girlfriend, Nancy, said, "What's going on?" And he said, I'm just in the backyard helping my brother-in-law. He was sort of taken aback because she seemed kind of angry. Nancy said, What really is going on? You just called me, to Tom. And Tom was like, No, I was in the backyard. And she said, "Yes, you just called me. You called me and you spoke to me and you sounded strange." And he said, "What do you mean, strange?"
Really strange.
Or strange. And Nancy said, "Yeah, you spoke in a deadpan voice." And Tom, because of what just happened with his mother a few days before, said, "This is really important. Please tell me what you heard me say." She said, "You called me and you said, 'Hello, love.'" Yeah, I knew it was you. She said, "You said something really strange. And when I asked you a question, you said, 'I'm sorry, I can't. I'm not here.' And you hung up the phone."
Whoa. You just gave me chills.
Yeah. And then things got really, really bizarre.
I think that conversation after that would have been bizarre.
And a few days later, the third phone call happens.
And what happened with Tom? But
this time it's when Tom is calling one of his friends.
One of his friends?
Yeah. Tom's friend, Peter. They were supposed to meet up after school, and Tom was kind of eager to, he said, just see him. They were going to go do something. But Peter had to go out with his parents, so he was waiting for him to get back. And he didn't think it'd be that long. So he's calling him, and Peter's not there. So he calls him 10 minutes later. Peter's not there. So he keeps calling, and he's frustrated because Peter, was a very honest friend, came from a real staunch German Christian thing. When he said he was going to do something, he was right there.
And he was running late?
Right. So Tom just kept calling. One time at one of these calls, Tom just lets it ring for as long as he can. And finally somebody picks it up. And it's his friend, Peter. And Peter says, "Hello," in a really deadpan voice. And he said on the phone, "Peter, it's Tom. Where have you been?" Peter says, "I'm sorry, nobody's home. I'm not here," in a deadpan voice. And then hangs up. Tom calls back. Nobody picks up. Tom calls back. Nobody picks up. A little while later, Peter calls. And it's regular Peter. And he said, I called you. What was that phone call about? What did you said you weren't there? And he said, I wasn't. I said, you can ask my parents. I wasn't home. And Peter was adamant. They just got back. And Tom puts 2 and 2 together, realizes it's something to do with the lamp, right? Whatever's attached to the lamp is making the phone calls. Tom is getting, at this point, he's starting to get over the top, freaked out.
Right.
Because it's not stopping, it's continuing, and it's getting stranger and stranger.
Right.
So he decides he's going to call Heather.
Mm-hmm. And she's the one who gave him the lamp?
She's the one, his friend.
Nice friend.
Who gave him the lamp. Calls her up and said, Heather, and tells her, strange things are happening with the lamp. And she said, I know. He asked her, why do you think I gave it to you? Is basically the story, right? She needed to get rid of it. It was driving her crazy. And so she had to figure out a way to
pawn it off.
Give it away to pawn it off on Tom. So poor Tom, good friend that she is, gives him this lamp, right? Mm-hmm. Guess she thought she was losing her mind and it was just her. So give the lamp to somebody else. And if it happens with them, then she's not losing her mind, right? Mm-hmm. So at this point, she realizes she's not losing her mind.
It's worth $75.
$75
and it'll drive you crazy. Here, have one.
Yeah. So Tom says, thank you very much. Says, I want to give you the lamp back. And she's like, no way. I'm not taking it back. I don't care what you do with it. I don't want it. And so Tom, they hang up. The lamp sits there in his house for a couple of days. He's trying to figure out what to do with it.
He didn't give it to Peter, huh?
He didn't give it to Peter, no. He liked Peter. He actually respected Peter. And as you can imagine, he's wondering how much his friend Heather was respecting him at this point.
Yeah.
So a couple of days later, Heather calls him. She says, Tom, you got to bring the lamp over right now. Tom's like, I thought you didn't want it. She said, bring the lamp over right now. He said her voice was really bizarre. She never talked to him like this. So he said, okay. He was glad to get rid of it. He grabs the lamp, scoots on over to her place. And when they get there, she says to him, we're getting rid of this thing. We're getting rid of the lamp. And she orders up a taxi cab. They get in and Tom is like, where are we going? And she said, we're going to go to the lakefront. And Tom's like, the lakefront? So they drive through Toronto down to the harbor area and everything down there. And Heather gets out with the lamp and throws it as far as she can into the canal entryway to the shipping yard, where it's as deep as it can get.
And these big boats there, right?
Big lake ships, come in and out from there. And they leave. They think that's it. All done. Right. All done. We are done with this. It's all good now. A few days later.
Oh, no.
Tom gets a phone call. He picks up the phone, and his friend Heather is on the phone. And she says to him in a deadpan voice,
oh, no.
It's dark. I'm really wet, and I want to come home.
Oh, my God. You just gave me full body chills.
Isn't that amazing?
Oh, my God. Oh, jeez.
And that's where we're going to end the story of Tom and the haunted lamp.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's a good one, isn't it? Oh.
Poor Tom.
I mean, we've encountered some really scary things, you and I, but on the creep factor, this is 9 out of 10 ghosts,
Yeah, that's 9 out of a 10.
Yeah.
Well, I guess my story that I got is not going to beat that one. So let me tell you mine. This story was told to me by the sister of the woman who experienced this. I tried to talk to the woman directly, but all she said was, yeah, it happened. I don't want to talk about it. So I got this from her sister, who now owns the dog involved in this story. Okay? Now, this woman, I'm going to call her Sandy because she didn't really want me to use her real name. And her husband, Barry, not his real name. After they were married for a few years, they finally got the money together and they were looking to buy a house. And when they went to buy this house, they had to buy something that they could afford. There was a really, really nice house in a town 3-4 towns over. It was a bit of a fixer-upper, and nobody had bought it for a while. Somebody had been renting it, but it was known as the haunted house in the area. There was a couple that were renting it, and they said they had no problems with it. But still, it had the reputation of being the haunted house. The outside was pretty shabby, and usually around Halloween, the kids came and they egged it and they toilet papered it and everything. It was pretty run down. The owner was selling it at a really cheap price because he just wanted to get it off his hands. Right now, he had been renting it to this elderly couple, who were soon going into elderly housing. So they got it for a steal. They really did. They got it for such a good price that they had money left over to really start working on it right away. So when they bought this house, life was good. They put it in a nice garden. They painted it a bright color. She was saying that her sister and her brother-in-law loved the house. And they turned it into a really nice house, not the, quote, haunted house. Nobody knew how it got the reputation as a haunted house. I mean, it was just a nice house on the block. It pretty much looked like all the other houses on the block, only it was a bit run down. Mm-hmm. There was no reason,
right.
There was no history of anyone dying there or any, screams in the night or anything. So
a good hell will get you.
Yeah. Yeah. But there was nothing
Get out.
0% interest. Oh my God, it's not haunted anymore. So,
money buys all.
Yeah. Low interest rates. Ghosts run. So when they got this house, they didn't have any idea. They didn't have any weird things happen. No bumps in the night. Nothing. So after everything was pretty good, life was pretty good, they decided they wanted to settle in. Sandy wanted to have a baby, but...
That's so nice.
Isn't that nice? But her husband, I forgot what I was going to call him. Anyway... Her husband said, instead of having a baby, let's make sure we can take care of a living thing before we do. So he talked her into adopting a dog from the pound first. So they went out, they got the dog, and he was a real sweetheart. Everybody loved him. They've actually visited him like 3 times at the pound because this pound wanted to make sure that they were all a good fit. Mm-hmm. They brought him home, and the first thing he did when they brought him home is he ran into this part of the house towards the living room, and he sat there, and he faced the wall, and he started barking.
Not ever a good sign when an animal does that.
And growled.
They're either psychotic or seeing something that's not there that in some way is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So he just faced that wall, and he growled, and he barked. Mm-hmm. And they had no idea why. The wall was painted the same color as all the other parts of the wall. It had no window on that wall. And he just sat there and he barked and he growled. Uh-huh. And actually, he would stop to eat. They would take him for a walk. And when they walked him, he was absolutely fine.
So he was fine everywhere except in this one room.
Yeah. And
Did they catch on?
They actually brought him to a dog obedience, and they were like, this dog has perfect obedience. There's no problem. Mm-hmm. They brought him to the vet. The vet gave him some kind of tranquilizer type of thing for when he was in the house.
Doggy downers.
The vet also said there might be termites or something in the house that he's smelling that no one else is smelling. That made them feel great. Mm-hmm. They had an exterminator come in, and the exterminator checked and said that there was nothing in their wall. The exterminator actually put a little camera, made a hole.
Yeah.
And put a little camera through.
Probed it.
Yeah, probed it like aliens. And put a little camera in there and didn't see any bugs or anything in there. Nothing. But the dog still barked. They brought the dog to a neurologist, thinking that maybe the dog had some kind of...
Hypnotherapy. That would have fixed it.
Yeah. And hypnotherapy, that's cool. You are getting sleepy. Woof. Follow the bone with your eyes. So he's looking at this. They cannot figure out why this dog is going nuts, right? So then her husband, who I wish I remembered the name I gave him, decided the dog is not going to make it in their family.
Right.
So he decides to take his wife
over
out.
This one room.
It doesn't matter. They put him anywhere in the house, and tries to get to that room like crazy. He
Over
goes
and over.
nuts to get to that wall. So he growls and growls and growls.
Right.
And now he's trying to get his face and his nails in that hole.
Oh, dear.
So her husband says he's going to take her out for dinner. And he's going to break the news to her that he's not going to spend any more money on dog psychiatrists, neurologists, trainers.
And hypnotherapists.
Yeah. He's not going to spend any more money. He's bringing the dog back to the pound.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah. But he's doing it. He
Okay.
can't spend any more money on the dog. So he takes her out to eat, and it turns into a big argument. She's crying and everything. And then she says, maybe my sister will take the dog because her sister has kids, and she had visited with the dog, and the kids loved the dog and everything. And so they're going back and forth and back and forth. So they're out for hours.
Send the growling, barking dog to her sisters.
Well, yeah, but the dog was fine at her sister's.
Oh.
So they go and talk to her sister, and then they have to talk to her sister's husband, and
The whole 9 yards. They get
the
it.
whole 9 yards they go through. So it's like 4 hours,
They
4 or
get
5
it sorted
hours
at some point
before
though,
they
right?
get it sorted
Okay.
out.
Yeah.
Then they come back, and when they come back, the dog had chewed from that hole.
3 by 2.
The dog had chewed out like a 4-foot kind of maybe a 4-foot square or a 3-foot square hole.
Was it a hole? Okay. He dug a hole.
He dug a hole.
A big hole.
Through the
Drywall or?
no, through the wallboard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when he dug that hole through, they could see what was on the other side.
Uh-oh.
And what was on the other side was a door.
Oh, no. Really?
Yeah.
I take back every single nasty snide remark I've made through your story. Go ahead.
Yeah. On the other side of the wall, of the drywall, was a door.
Okay.
There was a door, and the dog knew it.
Uh-huh.
So they smashed down the drywall,
Right.
and they found a door, and the door had a piece of 2x4 across it.
Across it, nailing it shut.
Nailing it shut.
Yeah.
So
Keeping the evil monster inside.
don't get ahead of me. So
Oh, no.
they pried off the board,
Uh-huh.
and the door was locked. But it was one of those old skeleton key type locks,
Uh-huh.
because the door is very
Oh,
old.
this is a story about deranged grandma. I know it. Okay.
We have too many of those. So they looked around, and they didn't have the type of key. So he just got a screwdriver and a hammer, and he just went bang, and he broke the wood,
The hinge.
the hinge
Yeah,
thing.
gotcha.
And he opened it up. And when they opened it up, the dog went flying up the stairs.
Oh, there were stairs. that
Yeah,
took
it went up to like an attic.
An attic. Okay.
Okay, now they didn't know that they had an attic.
They
thought that they just had like maybe a vent in there.
Like an airspace thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
When they
didn't think it was a walk up stair type of deal. They thought
no,
it was,
they thought
okay.
when they bought the house,
Old New England house,
very old New England
like
house,
a cape type of thing, and yeah.
Well, when they bought the house, they saw that they had this decorated glass about a foot round on the top peak on the front of the house. And light used to come through it.
Right.
But they thought that the light was just shining through it because that light just came through the house.
Yeah.
And
Understand.
even though it shined at night, they thought that maybe that was car lights from the road.
Reflecting light from the light
reflecting
from the,
light or
the street
something.
lights or something.
And they never really thought about it. They were just like, oh, look at that's pretty.
Okay.
It never occurred to them. They just thought that was like a small 2-foot foot high crawl space.
So the dog runs up the stairs.
Dog runs up the stairs, and they're like, crap, because they don't know what's up there, and they don't know what the dog's running up there.
Right.
And they run up there, and the dog's sitting at the top of the stairs waiting for them, which was good. They get up to the top stair, and they have this attic that's about, on the sides it's about 2 feet high, but in the middle it's about 6, and it comes up at a point, and they're up there, and it's not it's like raw board and everything.
Right, like an attic.
Only it's got a finished floor and it's got like old
A finished
brown.
floor.
Well, it's solid. It's
Right.
not.
You can
Some
walk on
attics you have just the 2x4s.
Yeah.
This one you can walk on.
Okay.
And on the sides, it's got.
So what did they find?
They find strange paintings in white and black, strange shapes on white with white and black all over the walls, like kind of like graffiti, but it's got their symbols.
Oh, really?
And in
that's
the middle,
creepy.
yeah, in the middle of the attic space, there is an old wooden table. The legs of the table are thick, like 4 inches of raw wood, like logs.
Yeah.
And a flat top. And on top of that, there's a circle painted on top of that, and it has a symbol in the middle. And that's not a like inverted star or anything.
Right.
It's some strange other kind of symbol.
Yeah, okay.
And in that symbol was a whole bunch of feathers.
Oh.
And they were chicken feathers.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, watch it, Coop. And there were dead carcasses of chickens that were mummified, no feathers,
Ew.
all over the table, and some on the ground, and some that looked like maybe they had been songbirds. And
Dead birds.
Dead birds.
Mummified, all dried out. And
Yeah, they had all, because, it was hot and dry up there.
I hate animal cruelty.
Yeah, but
Can
it
we
looked
skip
like,
past this part, please?
Well, there was some kind of candles and
Yeah.
everything, and it looked like that there was like dolls that were wrapped up in certain ways, and there were like different things hanging from the ceiling.
So they figure that some witchcraft type of thing was going on
Or
here?
some
something?
voodoo type
Or
of
voodoo
thing,
type
or
of
some-
voodoo, chicken bloods, yes.
Yeah,
Pentagram,
and
aha.
there were chicken legs, like
Yeah.
just the parts that have the claws.
I like chickens.
I like chickens too. We live in a chicken coop, for God's sake.
Heavens.
And there were like claws of different animals hanging from the ceiling.
Yeah.
And anyway, so it was really freaking creepy. Even the dog would not touch the other animal things. You'd think a dog would go after that.
Sniff it at the very least.
Yeah. But what the dog did is the dog ran down, like their house was a little bit L-shaped. The dog ran down to the end and went around the L a little. And that's where the front of their house was.
Right.
And the dog ran down the L and then stopped. They followed the dog. And at the very end of the L is where that little 12-inch glass I was talking about,
Stained
the
glass
little
type of
stained
round thing?
glass
Yeah, yeah,
round
yeah.
window.
Uh-huh.
In front of that, there was a wooden chair, like that would come out of a house of the 1800s or something.
Right.
And it was very plain, but it was there.
Yeah.
And on top of that was a very, very old light bulb, like the kind you'd see, like if you were
Yeah.
watching a story about Thomas Edison.
Yeah, it's not white, it's clear. You can
It's
see through
clear,
it.
and you could see the little wire that curled around in the middle and came back up.
Don't tell me it was still running.
Not only was it still running,
Oh, no.
but it was
So
hanging
weird.
off of a thick black wire that looked like it was rubber.
Oh.
And it went right into the ceiling, old wiring with the big porcelain connectors and
Right.
stuff.
Socket, yeah.
That light bulb had to have been, at the very minimum, this was only not long ago. That dog's still alive.
Oh.
Yeah, at the very minimum, that had to have been a 50-year-old light bulb. It looked like it was a
They
100-year-old.
don't make them the way they used to.
Yeah.
5 years if you're lucky.
And,
7 years if it's LED.
but this
Industry's
thing,
lied to us.
honestly,
Yeah.
this thing shouldn't have been
On
going.
at all. It should have gone.
There was no way to turn it on or shut it off.
Oh, yeah? Oh,
There
it
was no switch, nothing. The only way to shut that off would have been to pull the wire.
Or unscrew the light bulb.
Yeah, but that light bulb would have been hot. And I think
Yeah.
if you would have touched it, it would have shattered.
Stop.
But that's what the dog did. The
Yeah.
dog sat there.
And it sensed all this whatever it is attached to this stuff. And
Yeah, but it ran right by
down.
that
Yeah.
horror stuff. And it just stood and sat at the chair like it was called there by whoever was on the chair.
Oh, that's spooky.
Isn't that creepy?
Yeah, it's spooky,
So
creepy.
at that point,
Dogs know things.
the husband called up his brother or his two brothers.
Yeah.
Dog had stopped barking. As long as that door was open, the dog stopped barking.
Right.
And they brought a whole bunch of barrels and bags. One of his brothers was in the construction.
Yeah. They cleaned it up.
They cleaned everything up. But when they went to touch the chair,
Yeah.
Sandy said, "Don't touch the chair. I feel really bad about touching the chair and the light. Just leave that there."
Uh-huh. Sandy is...
The wife.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay, but they took everything else out. They painted everything white up there. They just cleaned everything, painted everything white, but only around the chair. She just did not want that chair moved. She just felt sick every time she thought about it.
Right.
So they redid everything, painted it, and then he was thinking of putting a TV up there and making it his man cave.
Right.
But they decided not to. And they had the dog. The dog went up the stairs and down, and he was quiet the whole time.
Right.
But then, as soon as they painted that, big ants, like carpenter ants,
Yeah.
infested their house.
Oh, no. It's a plague.
Yeah.
It's a pestilence.
I mean, these ants,
They've released the...
there were so many ants in their house.
Oh, no. Yeah.
And her sister swears
Yeah.
there were so many ants in her house that they would wake up in the morning, there'd be ants in their bed.
Oh.
They had jalousie windows on their
Not as bad as
porch.
crawdads, but definitely up there.
They had jalousie windows, and the ants were crawling in and right
Oh,
over
no.
them.
That's awful.
It was horrible. They'd
Yeah.
open their cabinets, and ants would be on their food. And
Right.
so at that point, they decided this has got to close. So they closed the door back,
Right.
and they glued it.
They glued the door.
They glued
Okay.
the door shut. They closed the back. They glued it shut. They put two big boards across it instead of just the one that was on there. And they put caution tape over that. And then they painted, "Never open this door,
Right.
danger." And then they put the drywall
Now, that's
back up.
not going to work, because if I found a room like that, you and I know we'd
We'd
like,
open it
we'd
first.
open
Yeah.
seconds. Just
Within
rip
seconds,
the tape
yeah,
off, open
you're
the
right.
door. We got to find out
Yeah,
it
what the
is.
hell is in
Get
there?
the camera, get
Yeah.
the recorder. Here we go.
Anyway, then they put drywall back up and painted it. As soon as they closed that door
Yeah.
and started putting the drywall up, guess who started barking,
The
howling,
dog.
and growling?
Yeah. The dog.
And that's when they gave the dog to her sister.
And the dog is
Happy.
and
He has
fine.
kids to play with. He's fine and happy. And they're trying to sell the
Oh,
house.
shit.
Nobody wants to buy the haunted house. Her husband's like, "Let's keep it. As long as we never open that wall, we're fine." Oh, and by the way,
The ants
Gone.
Gone. Yeah.
as soon as they closed that up, all of a sudden, within a week, less and less and less ants.
Ants be gone.
And it was
Okay.
before they even got the exterminator out there to get rid of them.
Wow.
So
Well, that's an interesting story.
that's the story about the dog and in the attic. So, what do you think?
That's amazing. That's a great story.
I'm glad you liked it.
So,
That's it for this week.
and we hope to see you again
Next time in the
Spooky Coop.